particularly again of the aorta and aortic bifurcation. When we initially presented our data, there was a question about could this be artifactual? Could it be from the natron, for example? Could this be something that occurred after mummification or during mummification? Well, it was present in both artificial mummies from Egypt and the natural mummies from the Americas. It's in the same location and appears the same as calcification in modern day humans. It increases with age, and it's consistent in where it is from mummy to mummy and across different eras. And lastly, it's consistent with, it turns out, autopsy work done a century ago and by most recent expeditions as well. This shows aortic calcification from a New Kingdom mummy using body parts that Armand Rufer 105 years ago or so published from Alexandria and Cairo, showing atherosclerosis as we did by autopsy in the aorta. More interesting, or more recently, our work has been inspired some work by archaeologists in Durham, the United Kingdom. Bender and her colleagues were evaluating skeletons in the Upper Sudan, and they found next to this skeleton, as imaged here, something that looked like a pipe, and that's actually the calcified femoral artery of a mummy who was a woman, again, approximately in her 40s, from Upper Nubia. And this is found next to her skeleton. I discussed this with Martin Raven, who's actually one of the excavators in Saqqara, and he commented that at one point in time he picked up something at one of the expedition sites. He thought it was a pipe, and indeed he realized it was an aorta. And then Mark Alman Rufer, in describing one of his classic articles, described the femoral and profunda were dissected out. Both were converted into rigid calciferous tubes. So our work actually duplicated many years ago in case reports and found more recently with the looking at aorta as if it's a pipe, for example, with all that calcium. More recently, we've been trying to focus on why this might have occurred and determining ways to evaluate that. Looking at the different cultures, looking at the Peruvians were studied between 900, lived between 900 before the Common Era and 1500 Common Era. We don't know why they're mummified. They're prehistoric people. They mummified their dead prior to the Spanish coming, before they had language. We don't know the reason for mummification. They lived in houses such as this. The Native Americans in the American Southwest lived about 400 Common Era. And they also were prehistoric before language, far before the Spanish came to North America. They threw spears called an atlatl. They lived before the bow and arrow was developed. And they were Stone Age people using Stone Age tools. They did have some farming with squash and corn, and they lived mostly subterranean to be able to get out of the cold or heat. They lived underground with the timber, as shown here, going in and out with slatted timber, and they had a fire here, so the ground would keep them at a certain comfortable temperature, but they often lived in smoke because they were using that smoke for the fire for cooking as well as for light. The last culture we looked at was the Aleutian Islanders, the hunter-gatherers who lived in the last 300 years, and they too lived underground to try to get out of the weather, and they too had a timber with slatted slats to be able to get in and out of this multifamily home, for example. So they too lived in smoke. So smoke in some of these cultures may have been a significant contributor to their atherosclerosis. They developed the kayak and indeed lived a marine diet without domesticated animals, without farming, so lived a hunter-gatherer diet, hunter-gatherer lifestyle. So if we look at the diet across the different cultures, the Egyptians and Peruvians were farmers, and they had domesticated animals. Egyptians particularly cultured. The ancestor Pueblans from the southwest United States, and the Aleutians were forager farmers or hunter-gatherers. The housing for the last two cultures, the ancestor Pueblans and Aleutians, again, they were inside, so they may have been exposed to significant smoke. However, the Egyptians and Peruvians had their fires outside, so unlikely to have smoke as a primary cause of their atherosclerosis. So in conclusion, what conclusions can we perhaps draw from this? In this slide from the McDonald's in Alexandria, things have changed in Egypt as well. It's even mobile. So I'd suspect that based on ours and other work that about 50% of the atherosclerosis etiology would be risk factors, and could the rest of it be genetics? The ancient Egyptians had little risk factors. They had little smoke. They didn't have cigarettes at the time. They were very active. They had a diet that was had some meat but high in fruits and vegetables. But they still had atherosclerosis. So is it a genetic disease? Is the opportunity to have the reason for having atherosclerosis, is it baked into our genes? Is it part of aging, for example? We'd like to think, however, that perhaps some of this is genetic, but some of this is unknown risk factors. Perhaps the ancient Egyptians and ancient people had risk factors we haven't developed. We've only known about the risk factors of lipids and hypertension and such for the last 50 years. So we hope in these next 50 years, other risk factors will be found that we can use again to prevent disease. Because I don't think we have this, we're too comfortable that we have the causes of atherosclerosis nailed down at this point. However, given that ancient people from around the world had atherosclerosis, we suggest that regardless of the causes of atherosclerosis, as ancient mummies had atherosclerosis, humans are fundamentally at risk, and thus we and our patients should do whatever we can to reduce that risk. Thank you very much.
Good morning. I'm called Muhammad Salmawi. I'm a writer, and I'm the president of the Writers' Union of Egypt. I must say at the beginning that I enjoyed the talk I just heard very much. I realized that we Egyptians, as we all like to pride ourselves, have invented so many things. I never realized that we were also the first to have invented atherosclerosis. I'm going to add this to my list of Egyptian inventions, which reminds me of on a lighter vein, before we go deep into politics, of a famous story about an Italian who told an Egyptian, you know, we dug deep in the ground for about 5,000 meters and we found electrical wires, which means that the Romans had electricity. And the Egyptian said, so what? We dug 10,000 meters deep and we found nothing. And the Italian said, what does this mean? He said, it proves that the Egyptians had wireless. So we had wireless and we had atherosclerosis as well. Now, what about the Egyptians now with all their wireless phones and all their atherosclerosis and all the other diseases? Where is Egypt going? I think this is the question that we would all like to address, and which is the subject of this very short talk I'm going to make this morning. And to know where Egypt is going, I think it's very important that we should know what it has gone through, where it has come from. We have to get the facts right of the last few years to have a clear idea about where we're heading. As you all know, in 2011, we had this revolution on the 25th of January, and we were able to depose a regime that was very solid in its basis and especially in its security measures. We were able to depose this through an uprising that involved all the classes and different sects of society. As a result, we were in void, total void. The regime had disappeared, and we had no alternative. In this vacuum that existed, the strongest political movement at the time, which was the Muslim Brotherhood, was able to step in very easily and take over power. It so happened that the Muslim Brotherhood who took over were not the ones who started the revolution. In fact, were not the ones who took part in the revolution at the beginning. In fact, they were the leaders of the movement, had issued official directives to all their members not to join the uprising that was prepared for the 25th of January. Later, when the movement gained more power and more public support, the Muslim Brotherhood decided to join. They joined, they took over, and they became the leaders of the country, the political situation. People were willing in Egypt to go with that. The Muslim Brotherhood had an image of being the underdog, of being unjustly treated by successive political regimes. They stood by the people, especially the poor, and were able to help them for many, many years. And when the time came and they took over, people were willing to put up with that and to accept them as leaders of the country, especially that they had avowed that they would be representing all the different factions of society. During 1 year of their rule, people were terribly disillusioned. They found that all what they had expected from the Muslim Brotherhood did not realize, and they started feeling uneasy about their presence. They were witnessing a lot of undemocratic and despotic and dictatorial actions by the Muslim Brotherhood, and people decided that they wanted a change of regime. The call at the time was for early elections, which is, as you know, a perfectly democratic move. We witness early elections around us everywhere. In Italy, they have it almost regularly every year. In Israel, they have it every now and then. But the Muslim Brotherhood refused to have early elections. They said, we're there and we're there to stay and finish our term. There was no other way to depose them or to stand against them.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. معالي الأستاذ الدكتور عادل عدوي وزير الصحة والسكان، أستاذي الأستاذ الدكتور خيري عبد الدايم نقيب الأطباء، الأستاذ الدكتور توفيق نور الدين نائب رئيس جامعة الأزهر، الأستاذ الدكتور أحمد كامل مطاوع رئيس المؤتمر، الأستاذ الدكتور علي الأمين رئيس قسم القلب بطب الأزهر، الأستاذ الدكتور أيمن أبو المجد، الأستاذ الدكتور عبد الرحمن شرف، الأستاذ الدكتور عادل علام، الدكتور إسلام شوقي. طبعا شرف كبير لي أن أكون هنا واقف على المنصة ممثل جمعية القلب المصرية، أكبر جمعية طب في الشرق الأوسط لطب القلب. شرف كبير أيضا حضور معالي الوزير، والحقيقة وزارة الصحة ونقابة الأطباء بتتعاون مع جمعية القلب المصرية دائما، ومؤخرا من خلال نشاطات معالي الوزير خدنا موافقة للدعامات الدوائية ان مرضى القلب في التأمين الصحي يقدروا يركبوا دعامات دوائية. في اعتقادي دي انجاز ضخم لمعالي الوزير وانجاز ضخم لنا كتخصص القلب في مصر. بالاضافة لكده احنا كمان سمعت مؤخرا في الجرايد ويمكن معالي الوزير يأكد لي الموضوع ده، الإيفار عشان الاورتيك انوريزمز ان حصل موافقه كمان للايفار. احنا جبنا موافقات قبل كده للمنظمات القلب المرتفعه الثمن CRTD والIICD، والحقيقه ده يعني فخر لجمعيه القلب ان يبقى فيه هذه الروح وهذا التعاون من الوزاره. انا بس بعد اذنكم هقدم لكم شويه حاجات لنشاطات الجمعيه بعد اذن معالي الوزير لسنه 2014. عدد أعضاء الجمعية كان في 2013 2237 عضو، السنة دي وصلنا ل 2224، يعني 2445، يعني زدنا حوالي 8.5%. والحقيقة عضوية الجمعية مفتوحة لجميع الحاصلين على ماجستير أمراض القلب وجميع الحاصلين على الدكتوراه في أمراض القلب، ثم يضاف إليها كمان جميع حاصلين على الدكتوراه في الأمراض المرتبطة بأمراض القلب. العضوية لها بعض المزايا. احنا عملنا شوية نشاطات دولية بحيث ان من حق العضو فقط انه يحصل على جميع المحاضرات بالمؤتمرات العلمية، وده تشجيع للأعضاء. ان منح السفر للخارج اللي بتقدمها الجمعية فقط لأعضاء الجمعية، ثم عضوية الشعب المختلفة وحق الانتخابات والترشح في الشعب. في كمان النسخة الإلكترونية من المجلة، ودي في صدد ان احنا هيبقى اللي يخش على مجلة القلب فقط اللي عنده عضوية في الجمعية هو اللي يقدر ياخد التكست بتاع مجلة القلب المصرية. عضوية الجمعية الأوروبية بجميع مزاياها، من سواء الإرشادات الطبية المختلفة، سواء دلوقتي كمان أنا عايز أقول مزايا مهمة قوي اكتشفتها، إن أنا لما أكون في أوروبا وعايز أصرف دواء بكارنيه الجمعية الأوروبية أقدر أصرف أي دواء في أوروبا. وده كان مشكلة بالنسبة لنا لما الواحد بيعيا أو يتعب بره ما بيعرفش يصرف أدوية ويسأل على دكاترة. فدلوقتي عن طريق هذا الكارنيه من حق أي عضو في الجمعية الأوروبية إنه يصرف أدوية لأنه معترف بيه كطبيب، وده في اعتقادي إنجاز ضخم لأعضاء جمعية القلب. في 2014 عملنا تقليد جديد وشعبة جديدة اللي هي التك نيرس للتكنيشنز والنيرسز، ودول عددهم تقدموا 138 عضو. والحماس اللي فيهم، وانا بتمنى وان شاء الله هنعمل جلسات او تعليم لغة انجليزية قوية عشان نقدر جزء منهم يسافر للخارج ويتعلم اكتر ويفيد تخصص القلب اكتر. احنا عملنا شوية نشاطات في المقر، وده بفضل المجهودات السابقة لمجلس الإدارة السابق والرئيس السابق للجمعية دكتور شريف الطبجي. قدرنا نطور المكان وعملنا مكان يستوعب 50 طبيب، وتم عمل ندوات علمية لمجموعة الإلكتروفيسيولوجي والإحصاء. الدكتور أحمد حسونة عمل نشاط قوي جدا في الإحصاء، وعمل دورات للإنقاذ السريع، والأول مرة يتعمل دورات معترف بيها بالامريكان هارت داخل مقر الجمعيه. والفضل يرجع للدكتور هشام صلاح والدكتور طارق الخولي اللي هو كمان قدر يعمل اتفاقيات لسه ما عرفتش منه عنها مع الجمعيه الاوروبيه ومع العلم ان دوره الانقاذ السريع دي من اهم المتطلبات للمتقدمين للعمل في الخليج. فان احنا نقدر كجمعيه نقدم هذه الخدمه، في اعتقادي ده تطور كويس وباسعار مخفضه عن اي سعر في مصر. عملنا بث مباشر من امريكا لمصر للاطباء عشان اللي ما يقدرش يسافر امريكا، وسفرات امريكا طبعا مكلفه جدا. عملنا بث مباشر لكهروفسيوليه القلب، وعملنا ندوات علميه داخل المقر. كمان قدرنا نجهز المكان بحيث بقينا ننقل محاضرات من القاهره الى المحافظات زي المنصوره وكفر الشيخ من داخل المقر. المؤتمرات العلميه احنا عندنا 14 شعبه في الجمعيه، اتعمل 12 مؤتمر للشعب بالاضافه للمؤتمر اتعمل في اول يناير اللي انا بعمله كل سنه لجنوب الوادي. المؤتمرات العالميه والفضل يرجع للنشاطات السابقه للجمعيه. احنا بقينا عضو دائم في جميع المؤتمرات العلميه، سواء المؤتمر الجمعيه الامريكيه او المؤتمر اليوروبيان، المؤتمر في اورلاندو بنشارك، مؤتمر الجمعيه الاوروبيه، مؤتمر القسطره التداخليه في واشنطن، مؤتمر الامريكان هارت اسوشيشن. كل دي لنا لجمعيه القلب المصريه جلسات ولنا حضور وتواجد. والسنه دي في الامريكان كوليدج لنا يعني جلسه مع ايطاليا وبنتكلم فيها على